Heyo howdy! I'm Derpfish, and here's everything you need to know about the absolutely terrifying Scoutmaster from PEAK. Scoutmaster Myers is the guy that wrote this guidebook that you can pick up at the start of the game. Rule 0 of the guidebook says to never leave your fellow scouts behind. It's written in big, bold red letters twice, so seems like a pretty important rule. Because it is. If you happen to break this rule and separate yourself too far from your friends, Scoutmaster spawns as an ugly, zombified version of himself that slowly chases you. And it quickly turns PEAK from, oh, a happy-go-lucky little silly adventure, to an absolutely terrifying horror experience. You climb so fast! Holy oh my god! 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 No! When Scoutmaster catches you, he grabs you and throws you, dealing a good portion of damage until you pass out. Sometimes he throws you so hard that you go flying all the way back down the mountain, which you are definitely not recovering from. Once he's satisfied and confirms you've been rightfully punished, he crawls away. Awkwardly. If you have no friends with you, there's also a way to summon him in single player using an item called the Scoutmaster's Bugle, which you can find in luggage. During testing, we found a few differences between natural Scoutmaster spawns and forced spawns with the Bugle, so this video will be split into different chapters for each of those things and more. This video currently boasts the most amount of information about Scoutmaster currently available online. Even more than the official wiki, by the way. We put a lot of effort into testing, so please be sure to like the video to show your support, it would mean a lot. And if you've got any new insights to mention in the comments, feel free to bring it up. Part 1. Natural Spawns. To summon him naturally, you need to get a good distance away from your friends. When we were testing this on the shore, this distance was 400 meters, which is about 80% of the way up. But in the tropics, we were only around 230 meters apart from each other when he appeared, about 70% of the way up. The distance requirement for him to spawn seems to vary per level. It might be a percentage of the current level's height, or the distance between campfires from the current level to the next. We're honestly not sure. But we do know that you need to be decently far up the climb, and at least 200 meters away from a friend for him to spawn. He spawns anywhere in a radius of around 50 to 70 meters away from the target player, usually outside of the target player's field of vision. Once summoned, he chases one chosen target and does not stop chasing the player until any of the following conditions are met. Condition A, you are knocked out or dead. Condition B, you regroup with the scouts that have been left behind to a distance of at least 200 meters from each other. Or Condition C, any scouts that were left behind are dead. If any of those conditions are met, he will immediately stop attacking and start to walk away. After he leaves, there's a cooldown of around 2.5 minutes before he's able to spawn again. He can spawn infinitely as long as he's off cooldown and the distance conditions are met. But from what we've tested, the spawn rates can get a little bit buggy, especially if you've already summoned him before in a single run. Part 2. The Bugle Method. If you're using the Scoutmaster's Bugle, all you gotta do is blow the thing, and he shows up, regardless if you're in single player or not. But it's worth noting that the Bugle only appears naturally in single player unless you cheat it into multiplayer with mods, which is what we did. Just like the natural method, he spawns about 60 to 70 meters away, and will keep chasing the first player that blew the Bugle. Meaning, even if two people played their own separate bugles, only one Scoutmaster spawns, and he will only prioritize the first bugle that finished playing. Unlike the natural method, the Scoutmaster's Bugle forces him to chase you for 2 minutes. This means that if you can outrun him for 2 minutes, he stops chasing you without having to knock you out. I'll go over tips on how to outrun him in the next section of this video. Interestingly, this also means that if you somehow revive during the 2-minute window that he's aggressive, and he hasn't finished walking away, he comes back to chase you again, which doesn't seem to happen with the natural method of spawning him. Once he's satisfied, he leaves as usual, and he goes on cooldown for exactly 2 minutes this time after he decides to leave. Blowing the Bugle again during this cooldown period does something interesting. It cues a summon at the next available opportunity, meaning he appears as soon as the cooldown has finished, even if you blew the Bugle like a minute ago. But he doesn't seem to spawn at all if you play the Bugle within 10 seconds of him initially leaving. As you might expect, you can summon him infinitely using his Bugle as well, and it's a lot more consistent than the natural method. Part 3. Dodging. When he first spawns, Scoutmaster will pathfind to you in the shortest possible route. In other words, he'll chase you in a straight line. Once he's within about 30 meters from you, he picks up speed and you cannot outrun him like this. He's also naturally a faster climber than the player whether or not he's slow or fast. But in his slower state, you can outrun him pretty easily on flat ground by just spamming sprint jumps. Still, if you do manage to outrun him by about 150 meters, he'll just teleport ahead of you, usually somewhere above where you currently are on the mountain. If that sounds unfair, it's because it totally is, but it's actually really easy to dodge him even without any items. Because of the way his pathfinding works, the Scoutmaster freaks out if he's standing directly underneath you. This means you can temporarily softlock him if you camp an overhanging ledge and keep him stuck under you. He also has this problem where he can't grab you if he's not grounded, or if you're too low for him to grab. Combine all of that knowledge, and the ideal strategy for dodging looks something like this. Find a ledge that you want to bait and dodge him with, preferably one that's overhanging. Then lure him towards you, and before he can catch you, sprint off the side of the ledge and turn around to catch it. If you've done it right, he'll overshoot the ledge trying to chase you and fall down instead, and now that he's directly below you, he'll start to freak out. From here, you can either wait and cling to the side of that ledge, or if your ledge is an overhang, just stand on top of it, and you've successfully gotten Scoutmaster stuck. This is the best way to dodge him without items, but the true best way to avoid him is in the next portion of this video. Speaking of which, Part 4, Specific Interactions. One of the badges, aka achievements in Peak, requires you to encounter the Scoutmaster. You don't have to do anything else like escape him, all you need to do is have him spawn, either naturally or using the Bugle. Doing so will reward you with a creepy set of eyes as a cosmetic. He naturally spawns on every difficulty except for Tenderfoot, but you can still force him to spawn on Tenderfoot using the Scoutmaster's Bugle, making it the easiest and safest way to complete the Mentorship badge, since with this stamina you can outrun him on flat ground pretty easily. You do not have to be on the ground for him to spawn, so yes, he can spawn while you are climbing, or flying in the case of my cheating friend here. Scoutmaster doesn't seem to have a stamina bar and is thus unaffected by most things in the game. This means he can't slip, get blow darted, poisoned, chilled, or burned. So unlike you, he can chill in lava for as long as he wants and come out perfectly fine. While he can trigger explosive bushes, he doesn't get pushed back by them or poisoned. Meanwhile, geysers both get triggered by him and slightly displace his movement, but the displacement is very minimal and not a reliable way to stop him. And I am now about to reveal the most important of these interactions and the absolute best way to stop him. If you think you know what it is, go comment down below now what your guess is and see if it's right. The answer is ropes, chains, or vines. He cannot climb any of these three things, so if you happen to have ropes, chains, or vines at your disposal, they are by far the most convenient way to avoid Scoutmaster. Hanging from any of these while he's below you will confuse him just like before, and you don't run the risk of getting caught before you can lure him off a ledge. And last but not least, for making it this far into the video, here's some extra crumb of Scoutmaster trivia for you. Did you know that Scoutmaster is hiding at the airport? Yup, this area here is normally inaccessible, but if you happen to cheat through it, you can find Scoutmaster's model A-posed motionless. It's kind of creepy, but I think it's funny. What do you think? Anyways, that's all I've got. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more Peak videos, please subscribe, but otherwise, cheers, I'll see you around.